Yeah, so let's dive into. Again, one strategy, of course, is putting our air barrier on the warm side of the wall, and where that membrane can also act as the vapor barrier or the vapor retarder. In our case, the IntelliPlus is a smart vapor membrane because, again, it's that control line where we want to keep out that moist air. And so when we have that smart membrane, again, it's keeping out the moist air. And so our buildings are typically 21 degrees, plus or minus a few, depending on how we like it, and between 40 and 60% relative humidity. And so in our northern climate, pretty much everywhere across Canada and for the most part of northern US, the climate is where we have the drying process to the outside for most of the year, because again, the temperature on the outside is less. And so in this case, we have air that wants to diffuse through materials into the wall. Well, for the most time, poly's done a great job because, again, it's stopping that diffusion of vapor into our walls. But what happens, though, is that when we're trying to dry out our walls in the summertime, where we've got higher than 21 degrees on the outside, we have this vapor drive inwards. And this is what happens, is that you've got pressure now working on your membranes, and in some cases, you can actually get condensation on the back side of the poly. Well, because poly is not directional, you've got, water vapor that turns into water in liquid water, and then has, potential for mold growth because the water is going to work its way to the bottom of the wall and find itself in. Where the IntelliPlus, what happens is that as that water vapor is collecting on the interior side of the wall, the inside of the membrane, once it gets to, that 70% relative humidity, it actually starts to push through the membrane, and then membrane through chemical connection will allow that water vapor, that chain, to come through. And so now you've got that extra moisture in your interior building. And again, you've got a fan or HRV, ERV, the ventilation that's going to, suck up that extra moisture and disperse it. And so now you don't have an opportunity for your walls to rot and have mold or have, issues, because there's no chance for condensation to occur. And so now you've got a wall system that is able to dry. And we get into this discussion of, we want our walls to breathe. No. We want our homes to breathe. We want our walls and our assemblies to dry. And in most cases, we want it to dry outwards for most of the year, because that's what's happening, and then be able to do it inwards. So we still want it airtight, but we want our walls to dry. And so hopefully answers your question, is the detail that membrane is allowing for inward drawing, where our current products are not allowing to do it. And as well as the IntelliPlus is a little bit different than other products in the market, where it really is able to open up at kind of that right around point, because at 80% relative humidity, you could get mold growth occurring in wood or in your walls. And so it's right at that sweet spot where it allows for inward diffusion of the water vapor.
Oh man, thank you for this little shot about building science.
Yeah, we dove deep pretty quick, but this is what I really love about Passive. This is like, and again, the whole prefab thing is we're dealing with millimeters, we're dealing with those fine details that actually make our buildings and our walls work really well. Because for the most part, when we didn't have this thick insulation on our walls, we would dry out our walls in the winter time, with our wood fireplaces and furnaces. We would dry them out in the summertime, then they would dry it from the outside. Well, now that we've got these thicker walls, we're slowing down the drying potential of it. And so now we need to make sure that we've got the materials in the right locations to ensure that we don't hinder that drying process. Yeah,
no, that's right. So yeah, I understand that that has been like the topic of all the times, right? Even though like past like a couple of years, the 3 year, the third year, and all of a sudden it's like we are going back again as okay, what the poly vapor barrier is for, right? And we are discussing the whole thing all over again, right? So No, that's a good insight. Thank you for giving us a little bit of an understanding about that one. So my next question is related to quality assurance. So what's the process once that you sell your product? So is there any opportunity that you can just go to the site and double check that everything is performed as per your standards, or how is it, or do you have like certain, I don't know. Well, I know that you provide a lot of education seminars in order to just, hey, let's do this in the proper way and let's go from there. But what's happening with your company once that you sell the product? At some point, I can get you or somebody to go to the site and just double check that everything is performed as what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, there's two things. One is what's nice about the product is that when they work properly and installed the right way as per our specifications, the blower door test that we do at mid-construction or final really proves that the material is working to its function. Because typically, it could be, like the Intello is working as an air barrier and a smart control layer when it comes to the vapor retarding. But the blower door test really ensures that the materials are connected together, are in the right way because of the scores that are achieved. Again, my background being a general contractor for about 7 years before I jumped on board the 475, I do miss putting on the tools. So if I can get to a job site to, inspect a job site, I'm happy to get there and review things. And now, again, with COVID, of how we quickly change, the world's changed, where we can do Zoom and Skype, it's so easy to just hop on a call and review details with clients when they're, you're stuck. And even as great as the ebooks are, and again, I recommend everyone check them out, you do get to some spots where you're just like, how do I make that an airtight connection? And to be able to just work through people, again, across, Western Canada, which is my area. But again, our team in Brooklyn, they're able to connect with our team, back in Germany, which is, the Proclima brand and all the technical resources there, be able to connect all the different product consultants around North America. So, doesn't take much to get us connected. And so I don't need to be, on the ground, even though I'd like to be. I can definitely be there to work through the details and ensure that everyone's figured out. And again, we're all working through this, and we kind of have this big learning curve once you get a couple of those projects, and sometimes it's about the language we use to just work through different terminology and ensure that we're all on the same board. Talking about sticking tape, is it adhesion or cohesion and all those kinds of things. So we can nerd out pretty quick in Passos, but at the same time we can be pretty good on making sure we're all aware of what we're trying to achieve. And that, again, at the end of the day, is a high performance building or home.
No, that's great. And of course, like this blow tester process is a big item, right, in order to just prove that everything has been done right. So no, that's great. The other question that I have is about warranties. So you have the membranes, you have the tapes, you have sealants. So all those share the same warranties, span of life, or what is your input on that one?
Yeah, the whole Proclima brand of membranes and tapes and all the different solutions and are covered by a 10-year warranty. Again, this is where it comes back to send me photos, go through those details so I can be on board as you're working through it to ensure that they're installed properly. And if you have questions, honestly, I'm a phone call away or even a Zoom call away now. Mm-hmm. And Carlos, while you're looking at your note, just to, talk about different details. So, we have third-party testing here in Canada to ensure that we're compliant to the codes. And a lot of times inspectors are not aware of our product and what it is. And so they need some verification. So we have that available. The tape, for example, has some third-party testing and it's been tested for 100 plus years. And so once you start using this product, you realize it is a higher quality. So yes, there's a little bit of trying to understand why am I paying the difference for this product? But the end results and what you're trying to achieve are there. And so love to work with builders on providing estimates and solutions. And as I said too, is, I do like getting on a job site and putting the tools on and putting tape on product to get people to understand how easy it is to just switch from the current method, which I guess we earlier said kind of like the good method, how we can easily get to better invest pretty quickly.
Oh, that's awesome. So yeah, because at some point I was, something that surprised me the most when I was taking the Passive House course is, it was one topic that they were talking about, economics. And it was like, okay, well, if you want to invest in something that you know for sure is going to last, right? Because all of a sudden you can start when you're trying to kind of imagine energy efficient, projects or buildings. You're starting to think about, all the active solutions, right? And active solution, I mean about, okay, maybe the most, efficient mechanical system or solar panels or geothermal. And don't get me wrong, it's not like a matter to say, oh, those, elements doesn't work here. Well, it work, right? But if you can talk or if you can think about passive solutions, again, you're thinking to can just design something that will last even longer than those active solutions, right? And you don't have to think about maintenance or the way how can you operate, because what is in the wall is in the wall, right? And it won't change his performance until you open, you make a hole on the wall, right? So that's something that was pretty interesting to me, saying like, okay, wow, that makes totally sense, because you're thinking on elements or materials that will last like more than 20, 25 years, right? When all of a sudden, if you think in something active, it will break. All you need to kind of just provide maintenance every so and so, or change filters or change this or change that. So that is something that is like, okay, well, if you invest in the good material, of course, you're going to get the most of it. And that's what makes the difference in order to kind of, specify something just for specify something, or if you want to kind of just achieve something, taking into consideration healthy thermal performance as a premium, So that's pretty interesting, stuff. So I have one question that I always just take as a signature question, because it's this information, even though it's for the industry and trying to kind of just provide awareness about the industry or the field, is I'm taking as a consideration the students, right? New generations, like the people that are coming now, like we're trying to kind of see the future, and we have to take in consideration these people, because they are trying to kind of figure out what is now in the field and how can they improve that. So this question is more related on you, Sean, as a person, as a professional. If you can share with me, what is one thing that you wish you had known when you began your career? So what you can share with me, like what should, known at that point in time, that maybe could be like, maybe resolve a lot of things that you were kind of struggling at some point. So one specific thing that you can think of.
Gotcha. I think from a personal level, in my career, I always knew that sustainable, healthy homes were what I wanted to get involved in. That I was always kind of a little bit ahead of the curve, but I knew that it was the right thing to do. And kind of along the road, I've been taught that as long as you're working hard to the passion and the career that you want to work at, all those other answers will come. And so, to someone who's starting off a career, is take the time. And even if you don't have the answer, you don't know the answer, but just keep working towards what you love, and the rest of the answers will find the way to you. And I love where I'm at right now, career-wise, family life, and everything else. And that's because I think I took some time to just really dive into what I was passionate, and a lot of those answers have come to. So hopefully answers that Carlos, the deep question you proposed to me.
No, fair enough. No, that's good. That's good. We're always trying to kind of just be better every time.
Yeah.
And yeah, something that I always think about is like, okay, if I go to the past and I just find myself in a certain point, I'm going to tell him this, because that is pretty important, right? And sometimes it takes us a lot of time to do that awakening and trying to, oh man, yeah, okay, let's do this way then, now, right? And again, everything is experience. At some point you can say like, well, I'm at this point in life because I took those decisions, so it's where it is. But again, right, it's like, wow, if I want to be a little bit better, what that item will be, right? So, no, that's great, Sean. I think there is a wrap. You passed the test.
Well, great. And if I can, at 475, we really talk about build like the future depends on it. So if I can leave that with you guys to just keep focusing on trying to make a better planet by using the Passos principles. So again, we said we can make comfortable, healthier, energy efficient, durable, resilient, and still have an opportunity to play and be creative. This market is open to you. And, just talking about the younger individuals out there that hopefully will listen to the podcast is, the average builder, he or she is in their 60s. So there's lots of opportunities for new, young, hungry individuals to get into this marketplace and do a lot of great things. Because we're all going to need homes. We're all going to need buildings. We're moving more to spending more time indoor, but we need to be creating better buildings. So hopefully they will be inspired to jump on this bandwagon and continue making better buildings for all of us.
No, that's great. That's great. I think I only have one last question, and that question is related to how can we connect with you or your organization?
Yeah, I kind of a little bit everywhere in the social media. So check me out, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Sean St. Amor. Get connected through 475, the same avenues. Again, I think hopefully, you connect with me with my phone number and email, 604-516-9073. That cell phone seems to be on 24 hours. And then Sean at 475.ca is my email address. So pretty easy to find. And glad to answer any questions that your listeners may have. And looking forward to seeing, your work grow and you doing more Passos projects, because the Alberta market with the Passos Alberta community is growing, and it's just great to see how everyone is diving into this and that the community is there to be very supportive. So it's good times ahead of us for all.
Awesome. Thank you for your time. Thank you for all your insight. Hopefully I can have you later on in a different topic, maybe.
Absolutely. We can dive into the wood fiber installation, really cool stuff. But everything else, Carlos, again, you kind of have a bat line to me. So if you need anything, just give me a shout. Love to chat more about this stuff with you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay.
And please don't forget to leave me a review on whichever platform that you're using to listen in this podcast. Either good or bad. Remember, Mexicans have thicker skin. You won't hurt my feelings, that's for sure. And better yet, if it has some good criticism, so I can learn from it and improve it, that will be even greater. I understand this hasn't been perfect, but it can be better every time. I recognize your time is valuable. I would like you to enjoy this moment with me as well. Also, if you like what you get from this audio, I will recommend you to be the first to share this info with your friends, so maybe they can get something valuable from it as well. Thanks for listening, and let's meet again soon.